All right, everybody. How are you guys? This is Mrs. Frazier talking about Introduction to Public Health. We're in chapters, I believe, 20 through 25. This is week 6. Can you believe it? It's going by so quickly. Before we get started on going over the lectures for this week, please email me, let me know if you have any questions or concerns. We're coming up quickly on the final exam for this summer session. And so it's going by really quickly. So you're almost there, you guys. Keep pushing it. Please check your Canvas. Make sure you do your checklist, weekly activities. I will share my screen to make sure that you guys understand what we're doing this week. We are in, I believe, week 6. It's crazy. Okay, so when you're going into the module section here, we're going to be in module 6. It's not posted yet. So this is your to-do list. I'm doing the video right now, so you'll be able to watch and review once this goes live and posted. So make sure you follow this page, your to-do list, and so forth, your discussions for this week, and then assignments for this module, okay? There is a quiz this week, so please, it's going to be quiz 3, and it's going over the lecture, the assignments, so please read your chapters and watch this video. Okay, so let's get started on the chapters. We're talking about environmental health this week, okay, and we will go over what that is, environmental health. If you could think about it, the environment, okay, and so introduction to the role of government in environmental health. This is a big one here. How government plays a role, as a population grows or grew, environmental problems started to transcend into local government. So things started happening because it's a bigger amount of people to worry about. So there's a lot more issues. This is in 1966. Oops, go back here. The smog in New York City took over and caused a lot of issues, accidents, deaths, just a lot of different things that happened. People couldn't make it to work, things like that, in New York City. And so environment has a big effect, especially in government. The bigger the population, the bigger issues. Okay, role of government in environmental health. World population growth has led to global environmental problems. Depletion of the Earth's ozone layer. We hear this a lot. And what happens, okay? So review this 6 themes of global environment activities: conserve water, prevent global warming, conserve natural resources, contribute to local communities, keep the earth clean, recycle, take out the trash. If you see trash on the ground, you can use something else to pick it up. We need to try to do our best to make this environment, this earth that we live in, a better place, okay? It all starts by little. Environment is beyond the control of individuals. This is also true. Local government provides a clean water and disposal of waste, okay? Things don't just happen, okay? There's people that things are put into place, so trash is taken out, and things are run. But again, sometimes we can't really control what happens in our environment, but we can do the best that we can, okay? So environmental hazards include, and you want to be aware of this, asbestos, lead, mercury, radiation, pesticides, industrial chemicals, and I'm going to give you some additional websites to look and be aware of. This is a big one. So this is an agency, Environmental Protection Agency, EPA. Be aware of that. Federal government does research, sets standards for exposure limits, monitors, and enforces. So that Environmental Protection Agency you want to be aware of, okay? All right, radiation, this is a big one. Artificial production, radiation often worries people. Sun's ultraviolet lights causes skin cancer and other cancers that can affect us, and so we need to make sure to wear our sunblock and pay attention, okay? Radon, colorless, odorless, tasteless, is a radioactive gas that occurs naturally in some soils, rocks, and buildings. Pay attention to that. Over here, we have how it enters a building. It's pretty scary. About 10% of homes had radon problems, mostly is under our upper northern states. It seeps into homes through dirt floors and cracks in foundations. When it becomes attached to dust particles, it can be inhaled. So initially linked to lung cancer, but also other respiratory diseases such as asthma. Okay, radiation. You know, radiation. When we do an X-ray, things like that. Health effects radiation were confirmed. Long-term studies of survivors of atomic bombings in Japan. This was a study that was done. Okay, mercury. This is many children born with severe neurological problems, um, contaminated with high levels of mercury. We know a little bit more about how we can get mercury, and so we are educated on, okay, paying attention, that can do big damage. Okay. All right, this is another graph you guys should pay attention to. Nursing mothers and young children should not eat fish with high mercury content. I will give a list of high mercury fish for you all to be aware of. Okay, so this is a good one too, this little chart here. Okay. All right, lead. Lead is harmful for the brain and nervous system, especially in children. They do a lot of this in pediatric offices to assess lead in toys, in water systems, things like that. They have questionnaires that they do to pay more attention to this because this is a big thing, especially in children that they see can cause a lot of damage. Okay. All right, other things on lead. Okay, asbestos. Okay, this is a big thing too as well. Pay attention to. Pesticides. I'm going to put an article on here for you guys to read in the modules on pesticides and industrial chemicals. Okay. All right, factory farms. This is a very important slide. Animals are crowded together and tended by automatic systems. Okay, they produce air pollution, ammonia, hydrogen sulfide, methane, and water pollution after rain. Political powers make environmental regulations difficult. Okay, setting standards. Okay, pay attention to these acts. The Clean Air Act. Okay, Toxic Substance Control Act, Occupational Safety and Health Act. Okay, and in your book it will go in more detail, but I want you to pay attention to these different types of acts that are helping to help set standards. Okay. Okay, risk benefit. Now we're going into chapter 21, air quality, very important. Okay, like I mentioned to fog in the beginning of chapter 20, where fog can be a scary thing when you're driving. They had a big issue in 1952 in London, and it caused a big issue. A lot of people died. A lot of scary things happened. By the time the dense fog covered more than 150 people had been hospitalized, at least 4,000 people had died. Researchers now estimate that the total death count was approximately 12,000 people, as well as thousands of animals. And the 1952 killer fog led to creation of the Clean Air Act. Pay attention to that. British Parliament passed in 1956. Okay. There's also another one. Smog in Los Angeles in the 1950s and then in the 1960s. Okay, so the Clean Air Act of 1970 set air quality standards. This is an important slide here. Okay, major pollutants, mandatory emulsion, reduction of auto and factories. So pay attention to that. Okay, 1970 air pollution. Air quality, this is a huge one. I work in pulmonary rehab and we have to monitor this daily for people with lung disease and respiratory issues. And so we have to look at the quality of how this content quality index. If it's good, bad, not so good, we don't have them come into pulmonary rehab when it's not in a good, healthy level. Okay. All right. Okay. Criteria for air polyps. So pay attention to these. These are what causes a lot of pollutions in the air that we want to pay attention to. Okay, so you'll know this list. All right. It breaks it down. EPA progress report. Okay, they do report. Just make sure to pay attention to. Okay, lead. All right, strategies for improving vehicles. We've done our best to try and, you know, help our quality of air. As you see, you know how our cars have changed, gas pumps, things like that. We're doing our best to try to improve this. Okay, strategies, strategies for motor vehicles. Okay, encouraging carpooling. And they do this and they give you guys, usually depending on where you work, they give them gas cards or, you know, they help with pay just by doing this for a lot of workers and companies, depending on where you work. Okay. And then indoor, this is a big one that I want you guys to pay attention to, where this could be indoor air pollution, okay? It's more causes hazards than outdoor, yet we spend 80 to 90% of time indoors, okay? All right, mold. Global effects of air pollution, acid rain damages forests and crops, turns lakes and rivers acidic, and kills fish and plants. Okay. Ozone layer, the upper atmosphere sheds us from about 95% of the UV rays. Okay. And then water quality. Okay. So this is another big one here. Lake Michigan, Chicago, 1980 or 1888. The myth of this epidemic myth persists. Urban legend stating that 90,000 people in Chicago died from this fever, and what happened was it was the water, okay, and poisonous chemicals in the river, just not having good quality of water, and issues that happen, okay. And then in the 1970s, there was a Clean Water Act that was given, thank goodness, because it was killing people, causing a lot of issues because of the toxic chemicals of not clean water. We need water, it's essential, but there was a lot of big things that was happening there. Okay. Safe Water Drinking Act, be aware of that. EPA should set standards for local systems. States enforce standards. This is very crucial, very important. Read more in your book. Okay, safety water drinking, safe water drinking, community water treatment to produce good enough drinking water, filtration systems. Okay, this is how this is done. EPA set standards of 87 indicated contaminants. Secondary standards have been set for 15. Taste, odor, color. So depending on levels, this is how it's assessed, okay, in our water systems. Okay. Dilemmas in compliance, enforcement by state and local governments of safe water. Drinking water laws has been spotty. Investigation by the New York Times, which analyzed from the EPA in the states, found that 40% of the nation's drinking water, community water systems violated the Safe Drinking Water Act at least once in just the 1 year of study in 2008. More than 23 million people recently substandard drinking water. Okay, just pay attention to this. Shortage. Okay. Main cause of water waste is artificially low cost of water. Okay, so it depends on where you live. More than 60% of Coachella Valley farms use drip or other micro irrigation. Okay, this reduces water use, allows pesticides and herbicides to be added directly into irrigation. lines and contributes to increased crop yields. Okay, now we're going to jump on to chapter 23 and 25 here. Okay. Solid waste, this is a big one. Okay, so you guys need to pay attention to any unwanted or disregarded material that is not a liquid or a gas equal garbage, about 1,600 pounds per person per year. I believe it's 250 tons of trash, and it's in your book that you need to be aware of. 1970s, big year, decade. Resource Conservation and Recovery Act outlawed. To work on improving the Clean Air Act, outlawed that Clean Air Act because the garbage was poured into rivers, lakes, and oceans. Okay, so sanitary landfills are carefully selected in sites where waste is buried in plastic lined pits. Okay, so review this. Okay, so causes of this and how they make these, what goes into it. Okay, all right. All right. So about 70% of the world's e-waste ends up in China, including some of the 5 million television sets that are disregarded every year. And I'm going to put another resource for you guys, because you can't just, throw out your TV. You need to recycle it, and it's interesting where it goes. Okay, even in the Philippines. Okay, third world countries. Okay, so I'm going to put some resources for you guys on how to recycle, reduce, reuse, recycle. Okay, we need to pay attention to that. Hazard waste examples. Okay, super fun. Controversy, called ash. Government food safety. Now we're going to get into foodborne illnesses. Major inconsistencies exist in ways of safety and regulations for different types of foods. Pay attention, responsible is divided in many agencies, the USDA, FDA, state and local governments, restaurants, institutions, schools, and nursing homes. Has a bigger budget, more authority. USDA, FDA, regulates 80% of the food. Okay, so hand hygiene is important. Separate your food, chill, cook. All of this is a big thing in food safety. Okay, FDA must approve after studies for pharmaceutical companies. Okay, cosmetics, same thing. Food and drug labeling and advertisements, regulated labels of food with information on nutrients and recommended. They have updated this. I gave you guys information on, the food labels, okay, how they've changed over the past few years, bigger, easier to read, things like that. Okay, 225. Okay, public health, population growth. This is happening. We're just getting, population is just increasing among children in developing country rates and things like that. Birth rates tend to fall as a result of fall in death rates, which is known as a demographic transition. Exists population tends and settles in cities. Half the U.S. population lives in shaded counties. Okay. Excess population tends to settle in cities, increasing homelessness and poor sanitation. Okay, wages need to afford rent across the U.S. Definitely. Okay. Depletion of global resources, fresh water used to increase drinking, cooking, washing, agriculture. It's a big one. Okay, you can see. So you can see here, this is in 1957, and then you look at 1958, 85, 2007. Okay. So global warming and climate change is a long-term change in an average daily weather that occurs over many years. Human activities have increased the amount of greenhouse gases in our atmosphere. As a result, global temperatures have risen. Okay, Okay, and I'll put some videos for you guys to watch and be aware of. I'm going to give you guys some more resources on recycling, where to recycle at, and I will add that into the module just for you guys to be aware of. And then you guys have your quiz, you have a discussion, an activity, and other activities to review on. But there's one activity, one discussion for this week, okay? But additional resources for you guys, websites, and other things like that. Please feel free to email me any questions or concerns, and I hope you have a great week, okay? Talk to you later. Bye-bye.